Oh yeah. Woo! That's what's up, baby.
You can use crappie in North Carolina, but you can't chunk it. You have to fillet it. That carcass has to be intact. The way I like to fish them is I like to cut their fins off. It allows that catfish to slide down its throat a little better. And then I just butterfly them. I take both sides of the crappie.
You hear a lot of guys talking about being an anchor guy. They'll say, I'm an anchor guy, or I'm a trolling guy, or I'm a drifting guy. It's best not to limit yourself, you know? It's best to be an everything guy. Be prepared to fish what the conditions give you. So I look for docks with lights. You know, the dock actually doesn't have to have a very bright light on it. Just any light around a dock. Those are the ones I target. I started out on deep docks, 20, 30 feet, and was catching a few fish here and there, but most of them were undersized. So I started going more shallow, and I finally found the most amount of fish and the biggest size fish at a dock that was only around 6 feet deep. I try to get out here before daylight, so I can catch some of these crappie because they're easier to catch when it's still dark. And then right as it starts to get safe light, I'll shoot up into a creek and throw the net and try to get some big gizzards. What a beautiful morning. Got some current, got some smoke on the water. Just trying to keep the boat straight. Basically, we're gonna catfish about like you'd striper fish. Suspended baits, down rods, dragon baits, and dragon baits on boards. It's a good fish. Oh yeah, that's the one I've been after right there. Let's let him go. Woo! Hello! You don't tell me what to do. I tell you what to do. I was fishing Wiley this morning. Got out there before the sun came up, caught some bait. I was going to go up in a creek, try to catch some gizzard shad, but ended up just catching some crappie around some dock lights on a little crappie rod, which was fun.
You know, stream some drag. I tried to get some footage of it, but it was still dark. So I took my little GoPro Sessions and I stuck it in my mouth, and then I tried to, you know, get a couple, but you can hear me breathing. It's not very good footage. And we all know how GoPros do in low light conditions. Bite was slow, but the fish I did catch were good fish. I was using 6 ounces of lead and I was getting swept. Every single one of my lines swept. You better bring some James River lead if you want to hold the bottom on Lake Wylie right now, which is a good thing. I think that if you can hold the bottom, and if you're using giant baits like I've been using whole crappie. I've been fishing North Carolina. Can't chunk. You can use the crappie, you just can't chunk them. So I've been using them whole. And I've just been butterflying them. That creates even more resistance when you butterfly them. So anytime you're using a bait that's got a lot of surface area, it's going to grab more water. It's going to take more weight or more flotation to float it. So keep that in mind. Your 2 and even your 3-inch peg floats probably ain't going to do the trick. You're going to need, you might want to double up on them or something to get that big giant. If you're using whole crappie like I was, or even whole perch. I was using some whole perch too, but I was going the offshore tactic of butterflying them, and that's what I caught the biggest fish on. The flathead was on a butterflied crappie. Current is hellacious, so bring a lot of weight. Like I said, I was using 6 ounces. Now you probably won't need as much weight if you're using smaller baits. Speaking of smaller baits, I saw Dieter's truck this morning when I was trailering my boat. He was parked beside of me. I didn't see him out on the water, but every one of my lines got swept. My battery went dead on my boat for whatever reason. I got to check that out. But so I had to fish close to South Point, and ended up fishing. Fell asleep right out front of South Point. Dave Martin came by and make sure I was okay because he didn't see me. He thought maybe I'd fallen in or I was sick or hurt or something. So I talked to him for a little bit, and yeah, I was just taking a nap. I appreciate you stopping by checking on me, David. But yeah, that's the report for Wylie. The water looks good, a lot of current. So I feel like, you know, like the video Manning made last week where he was in the river section, a lot of current. He was talking about staggering his baits so they won't get tangled when they get swept by all that current. I feel like if you can, that's a good tactic, but in some situations you may be better off just really throwing the lead to it and getting it to hold where you threw it. Because I am when you're fishing a river section, you're not really precision casting, but when I anchor, when I'm not in the river section, I'm anchoring on a ledge, a hump, a point. Like I'm pinpointing structure, and if you're pinpointing structure, I mean, I actually use my trolling motor and I go past where I want to anchor, and then I throw my anchor, and then I back up, you know, and a lot of thought goes into where I anchor. And if I'm going to go through all that, I don't want my baits getting swept, because that's why I anchored where I anchored, is because I want to put my baits in specific areas and I want them to stay wherever I put them. So when you fish the James River, you may use up to 12, 14, 16 ounces of lead, and you'll put them, you know, on the sides of your boat, and you taper that weight down as you come back toward the back. You know, you don't have to have much weight at all, especially if you want your bait suspended just straight out the back. But yeah, man, every one of my baits were getting swept. So bring some lead if you're going to use big baits, especially. And you know, the bigger the bait you use, the bigger the peg float you're going to use, even more weight you're going to need. But the fish are not, well, you know, I was using big baits, so maybe the bite would have been a little better. So I didn't catch many fish. I caught 3 fish, but they were all really good fish. And all right, that's what's going on from my side of town. See you guys later. Catch a biggin.
I remember telling all my friends everything about you.